are we ready to get into calls? I saw somebody call in while we were getting ready.
Yeah.
They've been waiting on the line, and I read the notes, and it's amazing. It says that their friend believes that he's demon possessed and won't leave this caller's house. And they're calling to ask for advice. I don't know how much advice we can give, but we're going to do our absolute best. Chris, in the UK, you're live with Eric and Kevin.
Eric and Kevin, thank you for accepting my call.
Hello.
Hi, Chris.
Thank you for calling in.
Hey, big fans. Well, I'm quite nervous actually being on the show. I've listened since day one. I was a very strong theist. And then during lockdown, I stumbled across yourselves and listened to about 3-4 years worth on Spotify, and I'm now an atheist.
Well, hopefully it's for good reasons. We want to make sure that you have good reasons for the things that you believe, but we're also really glad to have gotten to be a part of your journey. Thank you for calling in. So you have a friend that is not leaving your house. I mean, alone, that's got to be kind of frustrating. I don't know if I'd keep them as a friend. Yeah. But they believe they're demon. What the hell is going on?
So I think there may have been an error there about not leaving my house. Sorry, they haven't left their house.
Oh,
sorry,
got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for the sake of the time of the show, I'm going to really try and condense about 10 years worth into about 2 minutes. So if I digress, please feel free to cut me off.
No worries. Just do your best to make sure that you get to the main points, and in a nutshell, that way we can engage with you on it.
Absolutely. So at a young age, I got involved in some very, very weird shit. It was a church that was in this guy's house, and it involved, basically bathing in oil and pouring oil on your credit card to clear debt. And I gave my nan's inheritance to try and get rid of back pain and just some really messed up stuff. But I had this friend. Yeah.
Like the bathing in oil sounds kind of good. Yeah. And like if you could like pour oil on your credit card and erase your debt, that would be amazing.
That's kind of like the Mormon healing oil, right?
Is it?
I guess.
I don't. Okay. Anyway, Chris, go ahead.
No worries. Yeah, I could do with that oil right now. Yeah, gas prices and all. So this friend of mine, he was going through a real rough patch, and I, in an attempt to save him, got him into this church. We then ended up evangelizing on the streets, giving out Ray Comfort gospel tracts.
Oh my gosh!
And, yeah. That whole routine.
Yeah.
And right. I'm going to really condense it for you guys. So he got into some heavy books that I can't even fathom to understand about demonic possession, and he quit his job, and he's not left his house for best part of a decade. And I can't help, Eric, but feel it's my fault for getting him into this church.
Chris,
I can't even talk to him because even when I was a Christian, anything I would say to him, he'd be quick to say, no, that's Satan talking through you. That's Satan talking through you. The demons have possessed you with wrong doctrine. Just anything and everything, just cut you off straight away with, no, that's Satan talking through you. And I mean, I only ever see him once every couple of years, but every time I do, I mean, he doesn't leave the house. And yeah, I can't help but feel my 3 a.m. thoughts quite heavily responsible, really. I mean, he doesn't even go, no church, he believes, actually have any sort of connection to God. Only, certain people do who don't actually attend. Just really weird thoughts, man.
Chris,
that is heartbreaking.
Yeah. So first off, your friend, I the best way that I can, I think, help, because I've definitely fought these kinds of feelings before, and I've talked to other people who've dealt with very similar. Ultimately, you need to give your friend the autonomy to be responsible for their own decisions. I know that it sounds and it feels, and oh my gosh, I can tell you, if I could take responsibility for every bad thing in the world, I absolutely would. That's just kind of my nature. Is if something is bad, it's probably my fault. And so, and so I'm speaking as somebody who's trying his best and has been going to therapy for it, that ultimately, if you try and take responsibility for somebody else's actions that way, it robs them of their autonomy. It robs them of, respecting the decisions that they're making as an adult, even if they're bad ones, especially if they're bad ones. And so that's kind of the first tool that I would throw out there. Is everybody grows, everybody changes over time. You obviously have changed over time, right? You've changed your entire belief structure over the last 2 years. That's huge. And
thanks to you guys.
No, that was you.
Yeah.
That was you.
Yeah. I mean, if we helped, that's fantastic. But, just the fact that you have kind of worked your way to where you are, it is a lot of labor. You're right. It is.
Yeah.
It is absolutely. So, that said, your friend deserves responsibility as well. So from there, what's interesting is, so you kind of lived in that headspace for a while. So you can probably understand, for people who are watching, like we have a lot of people who have never believed before, never grew up in a religious environment. And so they hear this and they go, how can somebody think that demons exist or that demons are somehow like influencing your brain? But you said you used to hand out Ray Comfort leaflets. So you know.
Oh yeah, I mean, I didn't even play Call of Duty because I was told it was, of the devil. Now I'm free from that. I'm playing Call of Duty as much as I can to make up a lot of time.
I know I said this last week, but I had to sit and promise my mom that I would never listen to Marilyn Manson.
Oh wow!
Yeah, because this was after Columbine.
Okay.
And it was just like, if you listen to it, you will be possessed.
Oh, I was a little bit of an edgy goth kid.
Were you?
Yeah, I was.
No way. Gregarious, Kevin.
I had those Hot Topic trip pants and everything. Yeah.
Nice. I need pictures of. Oh, sorry.
No.
Anyway. But yeah, I kind of want to use this as an opportunity to open that door for people who are watching, just a little bit. So we talk about the satanic panic, but it sounds like your friend has kind of taken that a step further and they're kind of externalizing all of the bad in the world to kind of supernatural sources. Does that sound right? Or is that...
You've hit the nail on the head. I mean, even when I was a Christian, I've had numerous injuries from weightlifting, and he would say to me, well, you know why you got injured? It's because of your lack of faith, or it's because of your sin, or this or that. And you just hit the nail on the head there. His whole epistemology is if something happens, it's because of this spiritual realm.
Yeah. And doesn't that kind of tie back? How much is your friend actually allowing anyone else to have autonomy in their lives? How presumptive is it to externalize any responsibility that somebody has to that kind of supernatural force? It's frustrating. It's very frustrating. And there's also another, side to it that I feel like we probably should really, really talk about. And that is agoraphobia and how people kind of rationalize things. Most of the time when we're thinking, when we're deciding what we're going to do, we do the thing based off of whatever, help me. Ontology, epistemology, axiology. Okay. Whatever axiom you have in your head, whatever, kind of shorthand rule that you've created for yourself to decide things, that's usually what you reach for. You don't reach into the toolbox to try and dissect everything in your life. And then afterwards, they go, well, why did you go to the gym today? Oh, well, I just did. And then you start to look for reasons after the fact. Most of us use post hoc justifications way more than we realize.
Yeah.
Most of the things that you do you're kind of a meat robot. And a lot of the reasoning that we give for things is from those axioms and not necessarily on a well-considered, well-reasoned basis. And because of that, I could absolutely imagine that it sounds like your friend needs help. And
that's what really quite chokes me up, to be honest, because it really does sort of hit me hard seeing him like that, but he wouldn't ever accept any form of help. I mean, even in his own sort of Christian mentality, no one would be able to perform an exorcism or cast this demon out, which part of me does feel that, like, should I talk to him about, like, part of me feels that if he didn't hold the beliefs that he did, would he then be better, or would that then actually be worse if he didn't hold his... Because on one hand, Eric, you have the whole God loves me so much, but then you also have the whole, he'll cast me to hell, So I just think if he were free of those thoughts, would he then in his own mind be free of the demons? I don't know. I mean, we can't rule out mental illness, but he would see it as, demons disguising as mental illness. It's just so tricky.
I want to go back to the agoraphobia, because I feel like that is, I mean, if we're going to triage care here, I feel like that is the more immediate concern.
In that case, if somebody's just not leaving the house, I mean...
I would look into... I mean, I don't know how you go about, helping someone who has agoraphobia, but that would be my priority, I think.
I would definitely look up resources to see if there's any kind of services that can help this person. You're absolutely right. I mean, again, I think that the religious mindset may be very deeply tied to why they're not going out. But ultimately, if they didn't have the religious mindset, that might be one less justification for their actions, but that doesn't mean that they wouldn't reach for another one. In the same way when I talk about bigotry and I talk about people justifying their bigotry with religion, we wouldn't get rid of bigotry if we got rid of religion, but we'd get rid of one less place to couch your bigotry, one less justification for people for their bigotry. I'm putting the cat down now. And I think that would definitely be the case. I think that not knowing your friend, I would imagine that, it would be one less justification. But gosh, wouldn't it be nice to... I feel like getting help would be an easier ask if you didn't have the supernatural piece layered on top.
I think you're absolutely right. Yeah, but I think this might just be a, tackle one thing at a time.
Chris, I so wish that I could help, because I mean, the thing is, it's not like you can apply logic and logic your friend out of it. All they're going to do is see you as the enemy.
Yeah, and it's very quick to be shut down in conversation. There's no real responses you can have when someone's just not open to talking. And you have to respect their autonomy, as you say, really.
Yeah, and that is something that you deserve as well. You deserve to recognize that it's something that your friend needs to own and that you don't need to.
Thank you for that, because sometimes it does weigh heavy thinking, I got him into that environment. But as you say, we can't place blame on ourselves for absolutely everything in the world. No.
And I'm just glad you got to where you are. I mean, holy crap! Take a look at the people who got out of the Westboro Baptist Church.
Oh yeah,
right. The kids who grew up holding those signs. Chris, do you know what we're talking about?
I've seen them on YouTube. They're very anti homosexuality, aren't they?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, and they protest military funerals and say thank God for dead soldiers and just all kinds of really, really atrocious stuff. Just imagine spending a life doing that and then coming out of it and we're looking back at what you've done, and yet we look at these people and go, and we praise them. We go, hey, you made it out. I'm glad. You can hopefully use the rest of the time that you have in this life to pursue joy, to pursue happiness, to pursue for fulfillment. And what a lot of those people have done is turned around and became speakers, became educators, so that they could help people understand what happened and hopefully provide resources for other people to get out. But at the same time, like, are you angry with those people? Do you hold those people accountable for what they were doing as kids, or do you recognize that they grew as people and celebrate the growth that they've made?
I think for me personally, after having been in the sort of church that I was in, I would celebrate the fact that they've grown, you know, because when you are indoctrinated with all of these thoughts, and, you know, when you're vulnerable as well, that's how I actually ended up in the church I was very vulnerable at the time, and you latch on to things, and it gives you a feeling of, you know, family, support.
Oh, yeah.
You know, belonging, you know, and yeah, I appreciate that, that you said I've come a long way. I just hope to, you know, learn the tools that are there that were able to help me become free, so to speak, because I do feel free, and just help other people if you can.
I think that is the best we can ask, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, celebrate the growth that you've made, and recognize that it is a lifelong undertaking to continue to grow and be the best version of yourself. It never stops, and it's in that journey that we find the most joyful things in life. And you're entitled to that. And I'm excited that you get to have that for the rest of the time that you get to be here. And Chris,
I'm so fortunate that I learned this in my early 30s. I know some people, you know, they learn it at the end of, you know, in their 70s or 80s. But
oh yeah, I've spoken to people, never on the air, but I remember taking a call off air with a gentleman in his upper 70s, who, in his upper 70s, was like, "Oh my gosh, this is all bullshit." And he is attracted to other men, and never got to, and he cried, and he was just like, "I never got to have a family. I never got to build a life. I never got to be in love. I never got to do all of the things." And he was so angry. And what do you say? You know, it's hard. It is. And I'm glad you are where you are. And if anybody hasn't welcomed you yet, hey, Chris, welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And thanks for accepting my call.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Take care, Chris.
Take care. Bye.
That's heavy.
Yeah, a little bit.
I whenever I hear people like Chris saying that, you know, they're getting the opportunity to grow themselves and continue exploring the world around them, and we've been able to help, dude,
it's a good feeling.
That is so life affirming. Like,
I imagine. I don't think I've ever.
Dude, you have done so much in front of and behind the scenes to make this community better. I'm grateful for you. Plus, you're a good friend, man, and he makes good drinks.
That I do. I will. I'll own up to that.
Yeah.